The Airman's Rest Hotel, situated on the edge of Braunstone Frith, derives its name from the pasture land across the road, which was an aerodrome until a few years ago. The spacious room of the public house shows many traces of its previous association with the airfield. In the gardens, the customers take their ease amid borders planted with sweet-smelling roses. Close by runs the London to Yorkshire motorway, which in modern times forms the western boundary of Braunstone. A short distance to the south of the Airman's Rest is one of the service areas of the motorway.
Joining the Braunstone Parish Council meeting, we find that they are discussing improvements to the recently rebuilt Neighbouring Road, the southern boundary of Braunstone, which has, in recent times, become one of Leicester's two main access roads to the motorway. This major road has recently been redesigned into a highway with 4 carriageways, separating the main through traffic from the service roads used by local residents and tradespeople. In consequence, public transport has been somewhat disrupted, and this has given rise to the need for the resiting of bus stops, shelters and street lighting. The parish council consists of 21 elected members, the largest number permissible. Braunstone is divided into 2 wards, east and west. The parish council only has jurisdiction on street lighting and parks, and is simply a clearinghouse for other parish business. Their meetings are held monthly. One of the traditions of the parish council meetings is that smoking is not allowed in the room during the major part of the meeting, until the item any other business is reached on the agenda, and the chairman then informs the gentlemen that they may now smoke. Prior to 1892, Braunstone was a 3.5-mile journey from Leicester. In 1892, Leicester pushed its boundary to the borders of Braunstone. In the 1935 boundary changes, Leicester annexed part of Braunstone. To show you once again, it is difficult to imagine how Braunstone still exists with such a mighty neighbour and withstood the 1961 boundary review. The growth of Braunstone began at the turn of the century, with a population of 238 by 1921. By 1931, and with the development of the Winstanley estate, the population had increased to 6,997. During the next 10-year period, no census was taken. In 1951, the population had increased to 8,986, and 10 years later to 11,115. The most recent survey showed a grand total of 13,261 inhabitants in 1967.
The British Shoe Corporation warehouse, which has occupied since 1963 a 45-acre corner of the old Braunstone Aerodrome, is the largest new industrial development in the entire Braunstone area. From this boardroom, a vast industrial empire is controlled. Such firms as Freeman Hardy & Willis, Trueform, Dolcis, Curtis Shoes, Saxone, Benefit, to mention but a few. The most modern techniques are used in warehousing and distribution. Orders arrive here from a huge network of shops up and down the United Kingdom. Shoes arrive here from all parts of the world, even from behind the Iron Curtain, for redistribution throughout the home market. Day and night work goes on preparing consignments for dispatch. The warehouse is 1,000 feet long, 540 feet wide, and the supervisors have to ride around on bicycles, keeping the work flowing. There are 9.5 miles of electronically controlled conveyors. Conveyors are supervised by closed-circuit television. The weekly output is over 500,000 pairs of shoes fed to over 1,400 branches. Shoes are delivered by a fleet of 70 7.5-ton vehicles, which can carry 550 cartons of shoes. The depot employs some 1,150 personnel, 700 of whom are employed in the warehouse. The warehouse restaurant provides over 1,000 meals daily, plus morning and afternoon tea or coffee. Warehouse staff can also obtain tea or coffee throughout the day from a vending machine service. Staff can pick up a telephone anywhere in the building and dictate a letter, which is typed and sent back to them later that day. Braunstone Frith Industrial Estate is still being considerably expanded, and factories and warehouses are still being erected on the site.
The greater part of the old Braunstone Aerodrome is now in use as the municipal golf course. The area of land was originally called Braunstone Pastures and later became known as the Braunstone Frith, from which the nearby housing estate takes its name. In 1648 it was the property of Sir Henry Hastings, who was at that time Lord of the Manor of Braunstone, and he leased several plots of this ground to the city of Leicester. However, in 1650, as a result of the Civil War, the estate was wrested from the ownership of Hastings and given to James Winstanley, a staunch Cromwellian, and remained a part of the Winstanley's estate until purchased by the Leicester Corporation in 1925, and the pastures remained in use as an aerodrome until shortly after the Second World War.
Many well-known firms have depots and distribution warehouses on this modern industrial estate along the south side of the Frith. The Hinckley Road plant of Associated Electrical Industries is the major research establishment of the company in many fields of electronics. A major part of their work is taken up in the design and building of all the very latest in radar equipment and telemetering devices used in the assembly of electronic payloads for missiles and space satellites. On the southern boundary of Braunstone, we have a more down-to-earth, but no less important, manufacturer of mattresses. The noise created by this machine makes it impossible for a person to hear what another is saying. It is, nonetheless, a very important part of the running of a Braunstone industry. With what industry would you associate it? Yes, we are at the works of Ford & Slaters Limited, who are the largest commercial vehicle distributors in the country. Not only do they cover the largest area, but also pride themselves in giving a 24-hour breakdown service. This very noisy machine is for phasing and calibrating diesel injection pumps. In layman's terms, this is setting the amount of fuel and the timing of that amount of fuel as it is fed into a diesel engine, which is one of the factors that ensures the correct burning of the fuel and thus helps to prevent a smoky exhaust. Amongst the sales and repairs of lorries, bus chassis are also sold, and this Lowlander Pathfinder is on its way to the continent. Another side of the firm is the contract hire of large fleets of lorries to various concerns. A purchaser of a lorry chassis may require any variety of body to be fitted to it, and here we see the preparation before this lorry becomes a tipper. The stores carry over 1 million items and also feed 3 mobile stores vans. Covering everything from complete chassis frames and engines down to the smallest washer makes the job of keeping the stores up to strength a formidable one. The firm was founded early in the century by 3 men, 2 Mr. Fords and a Mr. Slater, who at that time repaired motorcycles. Today, this family firm at Braunstone forms the headquarters of a group for the distribution of Leyland, Albion and Scammell vehicles. On average, over 100 vehicle repairs go through the works each week. This is apart from new vehicle sales and preparation. This might be termed a mechanic's eye view of an engine overhaul. To cope with this large turnover of vehicles, over 100 men are employed on the shop floor, together with office and sales staff who are also housed in the same building. A 5-year course is served by the 25 apprentice motor mechanics employed here. Every aspect of lorry maintenance is covered and is helped by a final year visit to the Leyland School. The need for producing a heavy recovery vehicle to deal with lorries in any situation has led to a breed of mammoths weighing 12 tonnes and capable of pulling and winching 45 tonnes and lifting 11. Miles to the gallon? About 10. Across the trunk road to Coventry and access point to the motorway is a large firm of engineers. This is the factory of Jones and Shipman, a large manufacturer for machine tools and grinding machines, which enjoys a sizable export market.
Next door to the engineers is a firm that may seem at first sight a little misplaced in a village nearly 90 miles from the sea. Boat builders of repute who are exporting their products, and one in particular, the GP14, all over the world. This model of boat can be used for either sailing, rowing, or with an outboard motor as a motorboat, and large numbers are used by the Royal Air Force. For anyone thinking of purchasing a boat, a formidable range of models exists, from the Mirror, Cadet, Heron, a car-top boat, to the Seagull and Seamew, which are sailing cruisers. Every conceivable piece of machinery is used, including circular saws, planing machines, band saws, sanding machines, and not forgetting the human touch with hand planing, drilling, and hand splicing. It is hard to imagine that back in 1949, when the firm had its offices and works at Percy Road, Leicester, they were manufacturing beehives. With their invention of Carter's beehive, the production of this and the national beehive ran into thousands per week, and the market gradually slowed down, mainly due to the long life of the hives, which is about 30 years. A new market had to be found, and the late Mr. Pollock of the Bell Woodworking introduced the making of the Cadet, which, over a long process of building up the business, resulted in the sale of about 6,000 of this model. Trade rose, and the design by Mr. Pollock of the Sportsman and a basic hull, which could be any length from 18 to 26 feet simply by adding frames, and thus making a 6-berth cruiser from a 2-berth, made boat building a booming trade. Boats had to have trailers, and the Bell trailer and launching trolley was produced. The Enterprise and GP, designed by Mr. Jack Holt, were next to be built, followed by another boat designed by Mr. Pollock, the 18-foot clinker-built Osprey. With an increasingly affluent society, a car-top boat was next on the list, and the Heron filled this bill, selling in large numbers. Kit-form boats became very popular, and the Bell Woodworking produced, and still are producing, large amounts of boats in this form. All parts are numbered and machine cut, and putting the boat together can be compared to the assembly of a Meccano set. For someone buying their first finished boat for simply messing about on the river, an investment in the region of £200 can be expected. To build the same boat oneself from a kit would cut the cost to under a half. Although machines have taken a large amount of the handwork out of boat building, certain splices are still done by hand, and here we see meticulous hands making a wire to rope splice. Where great pressure is needed in a splice, this hydraulic machine produces a pressure of 25 tons. So as to bring our story up to date, Bell Woodworking built the mirror dinghy in kit and finish forms. Over 8,000 of this model have been sold. Now that glass fibre has become so popular because of its strength, the Mirror 16, a boat nearly 11 feet long and made of copper wire resin and fiberglass, is on the way to becoming another bestseller. Stocks are kept of every part imaginable for boats produced, and here, another stock item, the eye splice on hemp, is seen being made. A finished boat is nearly ready, and a last coat of varnish applied. To think that before the Second World War, the Trent Valley Boating Club was the only one in the area, and now there are about 4 different clubs in the space of 2 miles along the Trent, which shows how popular boating has become. Much of the popularity has come from the use of the motorcar pulling either its boat on a trolley or carrying it on its roof down to the seaside, where everyone proves, at least to themselves, that Britain rules the waves. Standing just off the Kingsway, this modern public house, built during the last decade, still reflects Braunstone's association with the Winstanley family, being named after them. Inside the lounge is to be found the original contract for the building of the Braunstone Hall, as mentioned earlier in the film.
In recent years, the Braunstone Park has become the venue for the annual Leicestershire Show. This is the county's big agricultural display of the year, to which exhibitors flock from all parts of Leicestershire and Rutland, and even further afield, to lend their support and advertise their wares and produce. A show lasting 2 days attracted vast numbers of the public, and a total of 27,500 people passed through the gates during the Friday and Saturday. All classes were brought along to be judged.
There were 45 entries for the first day of the sheepdog trials, and the time allowed for the course was 11 minutes. The winner of the class for shepherds with under 60 ewes was Mr. Esom of Burton Overy, and the first in the shepherds class with 60 or more sheep was Mr. Dennis Kilburn of Horninghall, who is shepherd to the Gables at Hallerton. Only one local farmer took a top prize in Saturday's beef classes. He was Mr. Turney of Church Langton, who won with a Hereford Cross Friesian in the horned or dehorned steer or heifer class.
Many more fine champion beasts from all over the county and surrounding area were entered in the various classes of the competition. The warm weather and almost perfect turf of the Grand Arena made the Mazda Stakes, the major jumping competition, a great success. A daring and exhilarating display of expertise on motorcycles was provided by 20 volunteers of the 1967 Royal Marine Motorcycle Display Team. These men are not employed in jobs connected with motorcycles and do this more for a hobby. To enable these men to put on a display like this, handling their machines with exemplary precision, it is obvious that weeks of training has preceded the event, and the result is without doubt a tribute indeed to the team's trainer, Quartermaster Sergeant Rigby. As usual, one of the greatest attractions to exhibitors at shows like this is the dog section. Their owners seem to spend most of their time prior to the judging session in the arena and pens grooming their potential prize winners in order to give their pets the best possible chance of gaining an award. Naturally, in a film of this nature, it is unfortunate that we cannot find time to mention the numerous award winners in the pony classes. So great in numbers and variety are the competitors before us.
In the Mountain and Moorland Ponies section, Mr. G.C. Smith of Long Watton took first prize in the 2 or 3 year old filly or gelding class. He also received a special award for the best yearling Welsh colt class and got a first in the Welsh Mountain Foal class.
Being beautiful weather, the visitors make the most of all the fun to be found at the show. But we feel it is not the prerogative of the human visitor to do all the looking. The animals do their share of standing and staring as well. Refreshments and sustenance are lavishly provided for all kinds of visitors, both animal and human. Although the attendance at the show is almost 2,000 down on the previous year's figures, the takings showed a slight increase. At the end of the day, it's all the fun of the fair. And so our visit to Braunstone draws to a close. We have seen and heard of its history and its modern development. We have seen it at work and at play. Who knows what the future may hold for this, the reputed largest village in England? This, only time will tell.